Hello everyone, my name is Jose Avalos, aka Dr. Logicate.
And I'm Stuart, aka Crazy by Nick.
And in this tutorial, we will teach you how to make stuff happen in your toy box by using trigger areas, triggers, and action buttons. Because as you're going through the levels, you want things to happen. So for example, if I enter a place, I want enemies to show up, or if I push a button, something else shows up. And that's the concept we will explain in this tutorial. So for that, what we're going to do is we enter a trigger area, enemies will appear. So let's actually place the trigger area. So for that, we need to go to the Creativity Toys category. It's right here, and it's the first toy you see, the trigger area. And let's place also as well an enemy generator. So we actually create an enemy. We'll place it actually close enough. So, first thing you will need to notice is that the trigger area is not visible. And that's because we have the magic wand unequipped. But if we equip it, we will see the trigger area. So this is something you need to be careful of when you are editing. Oh, how do I do stuff? And that's because you don't have the wand equipped. And the second thing is that you will notice this particular diamond in here. And we also have a bottom prompt that says move. So for that, if we press that bottom prompt, we will actually move the trigger area, and we can make it bigger or as big or as small as it needs to be. So make sure it fits all your, your distinctive needs that you need for the level. And now let's actually make something happen. So we will select the trigger area, and now we can say new logic connection, and we can make connections when something enters that trigger or when something exits it.
What do you mean by something? What are some of the different things you can actually go through that?
Thanks for the question. We have any, which in this case can be anything, a player, an enemy, a ball, a car, whatever. Then we can select a specific player, which can be any player or players 1 through 4. We can actually make them as well AI. So for example, it can be an enemy, it can be a friend, or it can even be a mount. Like, I don't know, Sven. We can actually make members of a team, so it's not just a player, but also, for example, an enemy that is assigned to that specific team. And this is especially useful for multiplayer matches. Then we have physics balls, which is everything that is created by a falling object generator, or a ball that we can call with an instant fun category in the editor, like a bowling ball or a mine. And finally, when we have a specific vehicle. So for example, I chose a vehicle, but since we don't have any, I'm going to cancel the connection. So now we'll actually do new logic connection, enter, and in this case it's going to be a player. And it can be any player. But for it can also be a specific player, but we're going to leave it as an any because right now it's just myself. And now that we have in here, we will actually create the enemy using the enemy generator. And for that, we will go Toy Box, and we will select the Kingsguard. And now, if I step on it, whoop, you will see that the enemy has entered, into existence and is trying to attack me. Emphasis on trying.
So a question for you, Jose.
Yep.
If that enemy shoots his weapon toward me, will his weapon trigger the trigger area?
No. No. It's not gonna trigger the trigger area.
Now, what about anything else?
We can actually make it, we can configure it to something else. So for example, if we make a new logic connection whenever something enters like an enemy, we can actually defeat them. So we'll say, okay, remove all. Why don't we try that actually? So I'm gonna step into the trigger area. And now let's have the enemy try to follow me. Come on, guy. Boop.
Very nice.
Yeah. So you can configure the same trigger area to do different things depending on who enters that trigger area. But something that you may have noticed is that the trigger area will activate is going to be active all the time. So for example, if I step over this 1, 2, and 3 times, it's gonna create 3 different enemies. So how do we do it if we wanna do it more or just once? For that, we're gonna have to deactivate the trigger area. And for that, first let me defeat these enemies. Oop. Come on, Mickey.
You can grab him and walk in.
Come on. There we go. He stepped into the trigger area and died. So now what we will do is that once the enemy has been generated, so for that, new logic connection generated, I'm going to deactivate the trigger area. And we can usually select activate or deactivate. Trigger areas by default are activated every time you start up a level. So they're always going to be active unless we tell it to deactivate. So let's try it. So now I'm going to step into the trigger area. The trigger is deactivated, and we will notice because it doesn't generate any enemies anymore. And now let's actually try this guy to follow me. Come on, dude.
Come on, little guy.
Come on. Believe in your dreams.
Run away!
No! Come on! He's about to enter the trigger area. Come on, you jerk! Well, he doesn't want to enter the trigger area. But
He must know something.
yeah, he knows that is the death. But no. Now the trigger area is deactivated. It's not gonna create any new enemies. So how can we reactivate the trigger area? For that, we will select an action button. And when we press it, we're gonna activate the trigger area. So now, boop, boop, activate. Now if we do, we notice nothing, but if we enter, the enemy is generated. And again, we can only create one enemy because the trigger area has been deactivated from beforehand. So now let's actually make something else happen. Why don't we make, like, for example, if an enemy steps into a particular trigger, a mine gets on top of their heads. I don't know if you like that idea.
That's something new.
Okay, so what we will do now is select the trigger, which will be located right here. It's a classic from 1.0 even. And what we will do as well, we need a falling object generator, which we will place somewhere around here. I need to raise it up a little bit. And what we will do is new logic connection is stepped on. And just like the trigger area, it allows for players, AI, teams, physics balls, and vehicles. But if in this case we're gonna do an enemy, and we will place a mine. Well, now the trigger area is inactive, so I need to reactivate it again. And now let's actually trigger it. Come on, guy. Come after me, bro. Oh, oh, it didn't fall on me. And
Question for you, Jose.
okay,
So having that trigger, that button right below that object generator, could the object actually trigger the button?
oh yeah, they totally can. So for example, what we can do is select this, and we can place new logic connection, and when something has been generated, in this case the mine, we will actually select the action button and say press the button, which in this case is going to only reactivate the trigger area. So why don't we try it?
Nice.
So this is something that is a really good tip for building, that if you have a button that does many things and you don't want to lose that functionality but still hide the button from, having players unadvertently activated, you can always hide it and then make a logic connection saying, hey, whenever something enters, press this button. And it will do that connection for you. So let's have it so the enemy appears, and now come on, man. Go after me. No, you're going the wrong way. Come on, buddy. Okay, the mine fell. And now now that the mine fell, it called the action button, which reactivated the trigger area, and we will notice this.
Boom.
Well, the mine killed them all, but it generated a new enemy. So using these 3 toys is how we can actually make everything happen into our toy box. And well, that's it for this tutorial, and I hope you have enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments or in the forums. And well, thank you for watching.
Thanks, Jose.